Hi, thank you for joining me. Today I would like to show you a little innovative thing that I did for growing some winter vegetables. And these are usually the green leafy vegetables, not cabbage. Cabbage has to have the cold weather. But this is summertime. Unfortunately, we're going through a really big heat wave as well as a drought. So I want to show you what I did. What happens to the green leafies, mostly the lettuces and the other green plants, some of the greens such as the collards. I know collards can kind of withstand a little bit more heat than the other greens can. But a lot of times I use the mustards or the turnips, and they go to seed in this heat like this. It's been in the mid to high 90s for, I think this is going on our third week now. We received rain one day. I use a plastic shelf, and these are, some of them are a little expensive, but I recycled this one. So this is a plastic shelf, and I recommend the plastic shelf because it can withstand the elements a little bit better than the metal. The metal shelf may rust unless you do some rust proofing to it. The majority of the sun that hits this shelf is the east sun and the west sun. The west sun is the more harsher sun because it's the afternoon and the late in the day sun. So I want to at least show you. This shelf is 1, 2, 3, 4, has 4 shelves, and I generally use this to store my gardening stuff on it. And as you can see, I have the romaine lettuce on here. And if I need more space, I'll just remove that on the bottom. However, I don't use the top for anything but storing. And what you're really doing with this is sheltering or shading it. I did this with one of my raised garden beds. However, I have gotten rid of a couple of my garden beds, and I'm going to try the container gardens. With that being said, this creates a nice small controlled area, which, as you can see, I have a lot of plants on here, and I'm going to try and grow these as large as I can without them going to seed. The one thing you have to do, I know with this, is I will have to continuously give it plant food, not the one that will cause it to blossom or bloom, the flowering ones to bloom. That one you don't want to use, but you just want them to get good and strong. You can still use a 10-10-10, but in containers like this, I generally dilute it because these are so small. With this larger container like this, I would add a little granules around to the bottom. So anyway, what I did was I used weed blocker. But from previous gardens, I know you can use fabric such as a sheet. You can use, I've used the queen size sheets or a king size sheet because they're so large. But if you have a twin size sheet, that'll work too. And all you're going to do is create a shade or a curtain type canopy for it. Well, I won't even say it's a canopy because it's going to drape down. With this, I have the weed blocker. I may forego this when I find the other sheets. All I did was just cut the weed blocker. I measured down the length of this shelf, and then I put the ends, as you can see here, up under this container that I have on the top. You can use whatever. If you have a rock or a board, something with a little weight on it so that it doesn't give and that it actually holds this. I allow these plants to get some sun. It's just the harshest of the sun I don't want them to have. It's still kind of cool. And then what you do is just politely bring it down. I want you to be able to see that. And allow it to drape and shade this area. Now, if you can see, when I come over at this angle, those plants on the very end are getting some sunlight. If you don't want them to have any sunlight, I can actually bring them in some or cover that side. If you're using a large sheet, it will cover the majority of this area, even around on this other side. However, for now, this will work. Now it's going to fly back and forth with the wind, so to keep that from happening, I'm just going to tuck it underneath these containers here. Give me just a second. And there it is. It shades it from the sun. And it's still getting some sun. So those are still getting some sun, but I may cover, I'll find that sheet and just cover the whole thing. And that way, this harsh sun on this west side of the shelf is not able to reach that. What happens is the heat forces the plants to produce seeds. And I don't want them to produce seeds yet. So if I can keep them from producing seeds, I can continue to harvest the leaves off of it, like I do these larger ones here. I just plop off these leaves and it'll keep producing more leaves. The more you plop off, the more they produce. And that is shaded bliss. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.